and welcome to Senior Solutions, where we bring you topics affecting seniors and their loved ones. And I'm your host, Mindy Felinton. I'm joined today by Mike Conrad and Morty Davis, and they are here with the program called Keeping Seniors Safe. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting us.
So, in unison.
We didn't even try that.
Hey.
What a team. Tell us what Keeping Seniors Safe is all about.
Well, as coordinator of the group, I started this working with the police department. I was one of the first AmeriCorps members. That's how it started. I joined AmeriCorps, which, as we all know, is President Clinton's program, and I had I could pick whom I wanted to work with, and I wanted to work with Montgomery County Police. I joined them over 20 years ago, and I've been doing this program, Keeping Seniors Safe. It was started off as a triad program, which was part of the Sheriff's Department, and then it became after the sheriffs gave it up in Montgomery County, the police department took it over. And right now, we talk about different categories.
Before you get into that, I'd like to just ask you, if I may, Morty,
yes,
what it was that precipitated this program starting, when you originally started it.
Well, it was through AmeriCorps.
Right.
And they wanted to help seniors. So when it was we actually put the program in, and it worked out of the Silver Spring Station. And then the police department came up with the program, working with, it was part of the triad program,
right,
under the Sheriff's Department. Then the police department took it over, and it became a program working with seniors, where we worked with them on driving, on scams, and home environment things, safety within the home. Also, it was a conglomerate of many things.
And was there one particular incident that led the original program to be started? Did something happen to someone's loved one who was a senior? Do you know?
No, I would say no.
So whose brainchild was it?
It was within the police department. I can't say it was a brainchild. It was a brainchild of AmeriCorps, which was a Clinton program, and they wanted to do something for the seniors, and this is how it evolved. And right now, it's expanded into a lot of things. At that time, all we did was go out and do little safety programs with them, talking about where they can go shopping, how to go shopping, where the libraries were, and so forth. But now we've really branched out where topics, number one, shopping.
For example, and Mike, if you want to elaborate a little bit about what each of the program topics are, like the shopping. What are the things that you're educating people about?
But I just want to mention one thing before Mike comes in. I want to give Mike some credit over here. We've got a whole program now. He wrote the entire program, and he's got it on tape and screens and everything else. Mike did a tremendous job. Right?
I'm not smart enough to do things off the top of my head, so I need slides and a little script to read off of. So it helps me get through the program and keep on topic.
Yes.
But he talked about the shopping. Number one thing we talk about is just for the seniors to be aware of their surroundings, especially women, like how to carry their purses. Men, with their wallets. It's so easy to get those things picked. And
can I stop you and just say, obviously you don't have a handbag with you, but can you share with our audience what are those recommendations relative to that?
The first thing actually that I tell them to do is think about what they need when they leave for the day. So many people want to carry everything they have, men in their wallets, ladies in their purses, because they might need it. Well, I tell people, okay, you've come to hear me give this talk, or our team, and maybe after this you're going to go out for lunch. You don't need checkbooks off 3 different accounts. You don't need 5 credit cards. You don't need this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. Get it out of there, because I tell people, if God forbid something does happen, purse taken, wallet taken or whatnot, you're going to have to put your life back together. You have to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. If you don't even know what you're carrying, it's going to take that process a lot more. a lot longer. So get that stuff out of your wallet. And I tell him, my dad is an example. He's got his credit card, one credit card, a driver's license, maybe some cash. That's all he leaves the house with. Now, part of this is my mom won't let him leave the house with anything, but that's what he's allowed to have.
Yeah.
And also, so the less you're carrying, the easier it is to keep aware of it. And if, God forbid, something does happen, it's going to make it easier for you to put your life back together.
Great point. Thank you.
One of the things, talking about shopping, one of the things we try to get across to the women, two things. A lot of women...
Not to spend too much.
Well, that's true too. But what happens is when they leave their home and they go to the shopping mall, after they park, the first thing they do is open their trunk and put their purse in there. Wrong. We don't. We try to train women. Leave your purse. If you're going to leave it at home, or bring that little purse, just like Mike just said. Leave it in the car.
Before you
don't get out of the
destination.
car and let someone see you put it in the trunk. The other thing with shopping, what we try to get across to women, if I'm wrong over here, correct me, is when the women walk out of the mall, have your keys in your hand, correct?
So you're not fumbling through the bag.
Exactly.
Okay.
And just like Mike just said, check your surroundings.
Okay, and I cut you off there, I think.
No, that's fine.
But then if you see something, and people don't realize this, if you see a couple of suspicious people around your car, if you go back into the mall, people don't realize this. If you go into the mall to the information desk and you tell the person at the information desk, we'd like to have somebody from security walk us to your car, they will do that.
Yeah, we do things like tell people really to pay attention to where they've parked, especially in a parking garage where you can go up and down. You don't really notice what floor you're on.
Right.
Because people who might have a mind to be a pickpocket or something, they're going to watch for you to walk out. So if you walk out of a store with a number of packages and the first thing you do is, uh-oh, and you start looking around, as soon as you give that sense off, now they're going to follow you. If you walk out with your keys in your hand, ready, and go right to your car, anybody who might have been targeting you, they're going to look for somebody else. So in effect, you've probably just lessened the chance that something's going to happen to you just simply by having your keys in your hand and walking smartly to your car.
Great tips.
Also, if during the shopping season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever the occasion might be, if you got a lot of packages, if you go to the information desk, security will walk you out to your car. They will help you. A lot of people don't realize that the shopping centers want you to spread the word. They will help. But of course, if you go up to the desk and you want somebody immediately, they can't do it immediately. Somebody might be being locked up, they might be hurt, or they're talking to somebody else about a problem. But they will walk out to your car and help you about the shopping.
Great.
So I think we've covered everything on shopping.
Yeah, we admit to people that nothing we tell them is rocket science. They're all things they've heard before, but it helps to reinforce that. So when that little voice in their shoulder screams, "Don't do that," well, hopefully they've remembered what we said. They listen to the little voice and they pay attention to the surroundings and to what they're carrying on their bodies.
And then the other thing about shopping is
see, there's still more about shopping.
well, we're going. If we're doing the other segment, we'll talk about scams and so forth. But talking about shopping, if you come out of the mall and you get in your car and you say, "Oh, I forgot to buy somebody a gift," and you have to go back in. What we try to tell people: move your car to another spot, so they won't see all your packages in, and they'll
turn left.
Go to another spot, down the block. I don't mean across the street or move your car up. Drive around to the other end of the mall, then go back into the mall. In other words, we don't want that particular person watching you during the holiday season. You're there. You're going to go back in. We're going to get those packages.
Yeah, or any time of the year. I mean, that's a great point. Never would have thought about that.
In the event that somebody's targeting you, if they see you get in your car and the car leave, they're going to go target somebody else. So even if you just go around and park in another space a couple stalls away, as soon as you've gotten that car and left, they're not paying attention to you anymore. They've moved on.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. So if we've done our jobs, nothing will happen to you. You know, that's the ideal
How reassuring.
Ideal thing.
And these are things that people probably just don't readily think about.
You try to get in the park where a light is. You know? But also, what I tell the people, even in the daytime, don't park under park outside. Because if you're in a garage, you're not going to see all the people that are hiding behind cars or waiting for you to come out. Park outside. That's right.
And it's going to be dark. No matter what parking garage you're in, it's going to be darker.
That's right.
Than it would be out, outside anyway. So for people they can't see all that well, you're much better off in a bright area like an outside parking lot than you are in a garage.
But I do have to correct this both. I've been to Montgomery Mall. Have you been to Montgomery Mall? Their new parking lot is like daylight.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't parked inside.
Oh my God! And then it's like BWI Airport. If somebody pulls out, it shows you what number's empty.
Nice.
They've got the most modern. I was there the other day. I was just amazed what they got. So that's parking, and that is, and also by parking. One of the things that we tell women, if you take your seatbelt and put it through your purse, that also helps.
Because that's going to protect somebody from sticking their
hand through the window.
In the car, right? And then we have somebody on our team, Pam, who owns a gas station. And one of the things that we talk about now is when you, men or women, if you pull into the gas station, take your keys, put them in your pocket. Because she just had one of the incidents that happened at her gas station. Somebody drove up, left the keys in their car. She turned around, her car was gone.
Bada bing, bada boom.
That's right. And they took the car. So that you got to be very. Nowadays, these people are smarter than you think they are. They're there watching you. You leave your keys in your car. You leave your purse in your car. The best thing to do is, I'm sure you said it, is lock it up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When you pull in for gas.
Put it in the trunk, or lock the car.
Or before, put the pocketbook in the trunk before you leave the house. Don't do it when you pull up to the mall.
Right.
Because people are going to be watching you.
Got that one.
Yeah.
And then if we know, because we did this years ago with a couple of detectives, during the holiday season, you got people out there watching with binoculars what you're doing.
Scary.
And it's a very scary situation.
Mm-hmm.
Out there you gotta. It's like Mike covered it. Watch your surroundings. Don't take out your billfold and go through the pulling wads of money out.
Okay.
So.
Gosh, we just touched on one topic that you talked about so far. But what I think we're going to take a short break in a few minutes, and what we'll do, or less than that, we'll come back and have you talk about some of the other topics that you are talking with our seniors about to help keep them safe. How does that sound?
I think we'll talk about telephone scams and computer scams. Do you think that should be covered?
And a couple other topics
that
feed
two big
into those.
Things, right?
Okay. All right.
And then we want to give out our phone number.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
we come out. Mike does all the he coordinates all our lectures.
Okay.
We'll come out to your churches, to your synagogues, to your temples, mosques, and we'll come out and speak.
Excellent. Thank you. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break right now, and then we'll be back to learn more information about keeping seniors safe.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Welcome back to Senior Solutions, where we bring you topics affecting seniors and their loved ones. And I'm your host, Mindy Felinton. And I'm joined today by Michael Conrad and Morty Davis. And they are here with a Montgomery County program called Keeping Seniors Safe. And we were talking before the break about shopping and all of the different things that people need to be aware of that make themselves potential victims and how to avoid that. So I'd like to have you talk more about some of the other topics that you address with seniors.
There's one thing I want to mention. I don't think we mentioned it yet. We're part of Montgomery County Police Department.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure everybody knows that we, Mike and I and our staff, we are sponsored and work for Montgomery County Police. Mike, you want to tell them about your readiness program if a tree falls and so forth?
Oh, sure. Generally, the way we structure the briefings is start off with the personal preparedness. Then we move into something from a program I worked on when I was a contractor for the Department of Defense. And we try and give people an idea, what would you do if, God forbid, there's a fire in your house and you have to get out? What would you do if you're living in a senior community and the smoke alarms go off and you have to get out? Let's say, for example, you wake up the next morning, you're safe. They've gotten you to a shelter, they've gotten you to a gymnasium or something. But you wake up that next morning, what are you going to do? How could you live your life? Do you know your prescriptions? Do you know how to get a hold of your children because they're probably scared to death? Whatever it was that drove you out of your house, how are you going to go ahead and live your life? And we give people tips on things, how to prepare that, how to put a plan together. And don't wait until that smoke alarm goes off. And I just use that for one example to just try and determine what are you going to do next. Have a plan, study for it, and be ready for it if something happens. And one of the things, like, for example, we talked to them is how to build a go bag, which is literally that, a go bag. If something happens, you pick up your bag and you go. And ideally, a go bag would have like 3 days worth of anything you would need. It would also have copies like your bank statements, your prescriptions that you're on, checkbook, anything that you may need. So if you have to go, you go. And I tell the audience, my wife has a go bag. I have a go bag. Our dog has his own go bag.
Oh, I love it.
So I tell people, don't be less prepared than my dog is.
Yes,
yes.
He's
got
his kibble,
his toys, and his some of his medications. So if something happens, you can simply pick up your bag and you go. So that's the second topic that we generally hit on after we talk about parking lot safety and things like that.
That's fabulous. Now, do you have a list? Is there something available in print, either hard copy or online, that will help people to look at those things to put
Absolutely.
into their go
Every
bag?
single thing we talk about, we bring along brochures, and that's one of the advantages of the program, is we tell people, we suggest them, don't take notes, you're not going to really listen to what we're saying. Sit back and relax, because when we get done with our briefing, we have numbers of brochures and handouts that are all free of charge that our office manager for the police department gets for us, and we leave them behind for anybody afterward. And every topic we talk about, there's going to be a brochure or something on that topic.
Awesome.
One
That's
of the
really
things,
helpful.
before, I'm going to let Mike talk about some of the
other
frauds and
topics.
so forth. One of the things that we emphasize to seniors is before you sign any document or you give anybody a check, do 3 things. Number 1, try to consult your children. If that's not possible,
maybe
your lawyer or your accountant. And then people say, sometimes I can't afford an accountant or lawyer. But then we have 2 things that we recommend. You got the Jewish Community Center, which will help you, or another organization which is great is Catholic Charities. They will help you if you need help with a lawyer or an accountant or any question to ask about signing a document. Mike, you want to tell me about something about the scams we're working on?
Yeah, after that we work on, we give them examples of scams and identity theft that are specific to seniors. There's a number of scams that are out there, but unfortunately, seniors are the number 1 target for things like telephone scam. Mm-hmm. And we tell them why, as a group, that they are most susceptible, and it really gets their attention. And the number 1 reason, I won't go through them all, but the number 1 reason is people who were born in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s were generally brought up to be more trusting of each other. Their default setting, if they get a phone call, like at 7 o'clock at night when they're watching television and having a glass of wine, and somebody offers them something wonderful, their default setting is, uh-oh, I don't like this. Their default setting is, isn't that wonderful? So without even knowing it, they've already made themselves susceptible to whatever is that caller is trying, to get out of them. And then they've also got, as a group, more income. They've got a lifetime of earnings. Whatever that lifetime of earnings is, everybody's going to have differently, but they've got that pot of money. as compared to a couple in their 20s who have a mortgage, they have school loans, they have everything else. They don't have that sort of income. So just because they're more trusting and they've got money, that makes them targets, for scammers. And the number one way they come in, scammers get to them, is simply on the telephone. And we tell people, if you don't have caller ID, get it. If a phone number comes up on that caller ID that you don't recognize, don't answer. If it's important, they're going to call you back. But these scammers will not take the time to leave you a message. So just simply let it go. So we talked to them about why they're susceptible. We talked to them about the different types of frauds and scams that are out there directed against seniors. And then we give them brochures at the end of it on what to do if, God forbid, anything does happen to them. After that, we go into identity theft because, unfortunately, if you're the victim of a fraud or a scam, like somebody gets your social security number, they get your bank account information, they get your name, they get whatnot, it can lead into identity theft. And we tell people what identity theft is, how to know if it's happened to you. For example, you don't get your bills in the mail. If you're expecting, like if you have a Bank of America credit card balance and you normally get that bill on the 5th of the month, and the 5th it's not there, and it's not there on the 10th or the 20th, could be it simply got lost in the mail. It could be that, for example, maybe I've stolen your identity, and one of the first things I've done after I've gotten done running up the credit card is change the address to my house. So instead of you getting the bill, I'm getting it, and I have no intention of paying it, but I'm the only one that's going to see all those charges. So we tell people that's one thing. You suddenly don't get the bills you normally get because somebody's been acting as you, changing your address. So unfortunately, frauds and scams they don't always do, but it tend to lead into identity theft.
So I think maybe at this point, I'm going to mention to the audience how they can get in touch with Mike so he can schedule a time where we can come out to your organization and speak. And you can get in touch with us. Our office number is 240-773-5625, correct? And information that goes into that office will get back to Mike or myself, and we will schedule an appointment to come out. We'll even come out to your Mahjong group. We will.
I'd like to have you come to my office and give a presentation.
We'll be glad to. And we come out to a lot of book clubs. But the only thing we require, let's have about 15 people. We don't want to come out and speak to 2 or 3
and coffee
people.
and donuts.
Or whatever.
Yeah, that gets out in a hurry.
But I just want to throw that in there again. I'm going to give that phone number again. It's 240-773-5625. Don't ever hesitate to call us. Mike will schedule something for us to come out. We won't come out the same week or the same day. Give us at least 30 days. What do you think, Mike?
If possible, yeah. Because we have we got a small team. We have 6 people, and we're all volunteers. There are no paid staff from the Montgomery County Police Department doing what we're doing. So we have to find a time that people are available, and we match it up with whatever that group meets at. But generally, if we get 3 weeks plus, we can accommodate you. Maybe not on your first choice for a date, but certainly on your second. But we'll do everything we can to come out.
How wonderful that you all do that.
Thank you.
As volunteers.
We've got a good crew. We really do.
That's great.
We've got a good crew. We've got 3 women that work with us, don't we? Yeah. And we got Sandy.
So you're equal.
Yeah,
3 and 3.
Right. We got 3 and 3. Right. And Pam and I've been together for several years, and we just got a lot of information out there. And
how long do your presentations usually take?
We'll take about an hour. That'll include questions, from the audience, because people want to tell them, "Hi, this happened to me," sort of thing. So if you give us 45 minutes to an hour, we can get through everything. We are happy also to tailor the briefing if necessary to a group. Like a couple of weeks ago, I did a group in Montgomery County of blind people. I had never done that before. I had no idea really what I was getting into. I had to look at the types of examples that we give, and they just had me come out, and I was the only sighted person in the room. But we were happy to do it for them. So if a group comes up with and they have any sort of special needs or special focus they would like, we'll do what we can to focus it for their group. But in general, we run through all of our topics, and it's 45 minutes to an hour.
What are some of the stories that people have shared that they've experienced as unsafe for a variety, whether it's shopping or scams?
Well, what's happened is they get a phone call, for an example, that the IRS calls them and says, "You owe us so much money." first of all, the most important thing we get across, the IRS and the banks will never call you. Never call you. We've had a call happen where the court, as you know, the courts in Montgomery County are run by the Sheriff's Department. They'll never call you and say, well, I'm calling you to update our
records.
Your records. Give me your Social Security number. That's happened before. So don't get, the most important thing is give nobody, number one, your Social Security. Don't give anybody even your telephone number. All your numbers are part of your personal life. So you've got to be very careful what you put out there, because people, you'll get these phone calls, you've won a trip to Disney World. But then they continue and they say, well, you're going to get the free trip, but you got to send in tax money to cover our taxes. Just don't bother. And also another thing is that I think we emphasize is that the police department, the fire department, the sheriff's department, they don't make phone calls. They send out letters. Now, of course, there's marketing firms, as you know as an attorney yourself. Marketing firms in the state of Maryland are legal. So you got to be very careful with marketing firms, and the way you go around that is say, if they want to get a contribution, put me something in the mail, and I'll read it, and I'll decide what I want to do.
We'll do our best to take examples that we find, like in the Washington Post. I have an example I use from NPR. One of the, we went to a seniors expo last year where John McCarthy, the state's attorney.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get the story 100% right because I can't remember offhand. But one of his schemes he was talking about were home cleanup sort of things that you get in spring, people wanting to get their houses all, all tidied up, and to watch what quote unquote contractor comes by. And there was a woman, a senior, and all she wanted was her tree trimmed. What she ended up getting was her shot, or apparently her tree needed an injection coming from this contractor. And so she got her tree trimmed, but the injection cost $5,000.
Oh, my
So we try and work in, stories like that to tell people, look, these are the things that are happening right in your own community, and you have to watch out for them. So we do our best to juice up, with those sort of things. We're not just standing there reading off bullet points, from the slides. We try and tell them these things are happening to you and your neighbors.
Yeah. Well, I think that brings it into perspective, because these are actual scenarios versus, like you said, those bullet points. So.
Well, we had an accident, not an accident, an incident that happened at the Leisure World Giant there on the parking lot. This woman had a new car, and she wanted a stripe put around it. And these vendors are there, they're looking to put stripes on it, they're straightening out your fender. So he told her it would be $60 to put a stripe. And it wound up, he wanted $600 for the same thing. So
buyer beware.
Buyer beware. If any of these people come up to you and want to fix your fender or fix this, don't use those people out on the parking lots.
Well, these tips were really helpful, and just to make people aware of the fact that the program is available to them, how wonderful that you do that. And I thank you for sharing the number to call to reach you to have somebody come out. And again, I'm going to be calling you because I'd love to have you come and speak with a group at my office.
On behalf of Montgomery County Police, we thank you for having Mike and I. But again, we look forward to coming to your office.
All right, it's a deal.
Thank you.
If you have a topic that you would like to see presented on Senior Solutions, please feel free to email me at seniorsolutionsTV@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.